and welcome back. Today I'm here to bring you a tag video. Today's tag is The Dilemmas of a Book Nerd, and this tag was created by Lindsey from Lindsey's Little Library. I like this tag because we all have those dilemmas that we have to deal with. I also like this tag because the questions are really easy, and because I'm trying to get a backlist of videos going for when I'm gone, I'm trying to pump them out like crazy. Dilemma number 1 is book storage. How do you store and organize your books? Well, I have this shelf here, which is full of all my books. They're currently organized as rainbow because the only reason why is because when I get stressed out, I need things to look neat and orderly. And organizing them by color really looks neat and orderly for me, even though it's not very practical because I never remember what color my books are, but that's neither here nor there. So this is where I keep most of my books. Upstairs in my bedroom, I have a smaller black bookshelf that has some of my study books that I used in college with a lot of my journals. And it also has my husband's Star Wars books in it, and it has my unhauled books, and it has my books that I have in my current TBR that I'm working my way through and reading, and it also has the books that I've actually read that month in it so that I know I need to do. Sometimes I even put my book haul books in there, but I'm running out of space. So usually my book haul books just live over here on the floor. Dilemma number 2 is tracking. How do you keep track of the books you read, you want to read, and the books that you actually own? This one, I have several ways. I have my bullet journal, which I write down every book that I've read in, so I can keep track of that as well. I also keep track of my genres, my star ratings, and what have you. It's just fun and relaxing. I do keep track of all the books that I read on Goodreads as well, and at least I think all of the books that I have now that I own are on my want to read shelf on my Goodreads page. I don't know if they're all there anymore, and I don't know if I actually want to read them all, so I need to sort of figure out a new way to do that. If you have a good way of tracking the books that you own and you want to read, let me know. One of the things that I was thinking about doing is keeping the rainbow, but putting all of my unread books like here on top and all of my read books in the bottom. I have more than 2/3 of the books that I own are actually read, so it's not so bad. I'm going to be doing all the books I have unread video in a couple weeks. But for now, that's how I keep track of my books at the current moment. Dilemma number 3, to borrow or not to borrow? That is the question. Do you lend out your books? Yes and no. I have very few people that are allowed to borrow my books. I do have a couple of friends who have borrowed a book perhaps 2 years ago. You know who you are if you're watching this video, and have yet to return my books. But generally speaking, I do loan out my books, especially to people who I see often. But I don't loan out my books to everyone, if that makes sense. You have to treat my books with love. Treat my books how I would treat my books, which is no, don't spill coffee all over them, return them, don't rip them. I mean, accidents do happen, but there are people who've developed a habit of returning my books at the broken or not returning them, and that's not cool. Number 4 is the book buying dilemma. How do you acquire your books? 80%, I would say, 80% of my books come from Book Depository. I usually wait till they go on sale and I buy them. I have done on my channel 2 humongous book hauls, which is probably where 1/3 of my books come from that are on my shelves right now. From the UK. I have a friend of mine who's been to England the past 2 summers, and when she goes, she always goes thrift store shopping for books, and she has brought me back a huge banana box of books each time she goes. So that's where I get a lot of my books as well. I do, when I go to the States, once every 1.5 to 2 years, I pick up a couple books there as well. But majority of my books come from Book Depository. Dilemma number 5 are comments. How do you deal with comments like, how do you find so much time to read? Well, that one I don't get very often because I don't find very much time to read. I listen to audiobooks. Audiobooks are my lifesaver, and for those of you who think audiobooks is not reading, go away. Especially when you have a visual disability like me, audiobooks is kind of the way to go because reading books takes forever. I do love reading books. I do love the way a book feels. I love to turn the pages of a book, but audiobooks are just the way that I find time to read as many books as I do while I clean. I walk to work. It's a 40-minute walk from where I live. So I always have audiobooks. That's the way. And as far as the comments goes, the only real snarky comment that I get on my channel a lot is, you really need to make more of an effort to look into the camera. And to you, I say, I have a whole list of videos They are in the description box below about why it's difficult for me to look directly in a camera, because if you can't tell, my eyes move. I'm visually impaired. I'm legally blind, people. That's why I don't look into the camera. If you don't like it, then go away. That's how I deal with my comments. Moving on to the later tone. Question number 6. How do you pick the next book? I've had a real problem with this. I tend to pick the wrong next book, which makes me DNF my books. I get halfway through them and I think, I don't really want to read this book. This is not what I'm in for at the moment. I actually haven't been into reading a whole lot of books for the majority of February and March and April. So picking the next book at the moment is a little tricky. Usually I do have a TBR. I like to follow that TBR as much as I can. I like to read a book that has been on my shelves for a while as much as I can to sort of get the books read that I need to get read that are there and get rid of them if I don't like them so I can make space for new books. I also think, ooh, this person read that book. That sounds really good. Let's read that one. I don't know, there's no method to my madness. Number 7 is travel. How do you pick which books you are going to take with you on your vacation? This is actually a very relevant question because when you're seeing this video, I'm probably already gone. I don't exactly know when all these videos are going up. I have a list of videos that I need to film, but I haven't scheduled them yet. So I don't know when you're actually seeing this one. But it's very possible that I'm in the States currently. And in my June and July book haul, I talked a little bit about this. I tend to bring big books, either one big book that I can just read, or what I do most of the time is I bring ebooks. I bring my iPad. I like to use my iPad on the plane because I don't like to turn the little light on. It's hard to read. So I have my iPad and I bring several different big books there. Number 8 is Annotate. Hey, that rhymes. I've been filming for way too long. I don't annotate a whole lot of books. I only annotate the books that I think will be really powerful or that will have some sort of meaning for me for later. I do take pictures of quotes that I like and I write them down in a separate journal, but I don't write in my books often. I'm trying to make a better habit of it because I do want my kids to have them at some point and they can see what my thoughts were way back when. But generally I'll either highlight, I'm trying to find some pages that I've annotated. This is The Timekeeper, by the way. I do have a spoiler-free review for this one. This is a really great book and it was one that I annotated. Generally I'll underline and I'll just write a little thing at the bottom of the book of things that I really enjoyed. If it's a book that I know I want to do a review on, I'll take notes as I read the book. I won't write in the book necessarily unless I really enjoy the book and then I'll go back and write in the book. Generally I don't like to write in my books, but I do want to. I do see the benefit of it and it's more for keepsake for my kids for way later when I get old and gray and they want to read my books. Number 9 is new or backlist. I tend to go for the backlist books because when you get them, they're on sale. I also am really making an effort to read the books that are on my shelves because I really want to get some of these books off of my shelves, either to a different shelf or to Goodwill or whatever. So I like to read the books that I get, and I do get a lot of thrift store books like I mentioned earlier. So those are definitely all backlist books and I like to get to those as well. I am a sucker for a new book. There are new books that come out that I want to have, that I want to read. So it's a mix. I lean more to the backlist side though. And lastly, book dilemma number 10 are sequels. Do you tend to wait until all the books come out and then read them, or read them as they come? Again, this depends. Generally, I like to read them as they come. I do have sometimes a hard time remembering what actually happened with the books. I had that especially with the ACOTAR series. I really forgot what happened in The Court of Wings Ruin before I read A Cloud of Frost and Starlight. I read it so fast. So generally I'll read them as they come out. With some series though, if I've read the first one and I've had the second one sitting for a while and I know then the third one or the fourth one is coming out soon, I'll wait and then I'll get it and then I'll just binge read them. But I read books sort of slowly anyway, and I tend not to read them as soon as I buy them, so generally speaking, I'll just wait. That wraps it up for today's book tag. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. If you have not yet, I would love for you to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.